Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunday, January 17th, 2021. I just wanted to connect with all of you to give you a couple quick updates. First and foremost, I can truly feel your prayers. I really feel all the love that you're sending my way, and I've never known this level of love before. And I've got to say, it's amazing. Your outpouring so humbles me. I'm feeling very well. I still have occasional confusion, but that's normal for me, and I would imagine some of you have felt the same. I have some balance issues, but absolutely no pain. I know that these challenges are teaching and leading me to understand so much more about love, life, and our spiritual connection with God and each other. Mind-blowing, but yet is so beautiful. Now, as you may know, I am seeking treatment in the now moment. For this, I go within, consciously connect to God through the beautiful Christ presence, and wait for guidance as to what my next step is. The Christ presence, by the way, is in you too. Throughout this process of surrender, I receive divine guidance, and without question, I proceed. With no worry, no doubt. I know this is divine order. Even this thing that they say is in my brain is here to help me open up to what is next, and that can only be for the better. You see, I only want the highest and best for my soul to manifest through me. Now, more on that later. At present, we are guided to the perfect specialist, and we met with her for nearly an hour and a half. And after the most in-depth review I have ever been a part of, she suggested that she thought it would be best to consult others about what they believe would suit me. By day's end, she connected with other specialists who have agreed to review my records and get back to us sometime next week. Now, I know when they call, it will be, you guessed it, in divine order. Now, I have time to sit and be open and continue listening to Spirit's promptings regarding what I am to do and when I am to do it. Wow, what a gift. I just have to cooperate. I want you to know that I desire to get your prayer requests, and so do our prayer team members in Silent Unity. Unity is all about prayer. Prayer is the key. So please affirm that divine order is established now and leave your personal wants out of it. God, and only God, knows best. And when we get out of the way, the highest and best flows forth to bless us. Thy will be done. I think I read that somewhere. Throughout this segment of the journey, I am beginning to see the true importance of allowing God's will, not my will, be done. I am understanding the meaning of this on a whole new level. Now, remember that restaurant commercial in the 70s, the Alka-Seltzer commercial? It said, try it, you'll like it. I have, and I do. Now, here are a few more bits of information that I need to share with you. With the COVID numbers rising, coupled with what's happening in my life, the board deemed that it was necessary to suspend in-house services at this time. They will continually assess, and when guided, this will change. During this time, we are still offering Sunday services online, both on Facebook and on our website. At present, we are lining up some really great ministers and qualified speakers, whom I know and believe will share with you insights that we all need to hear. I personally know each of them and have followed their journey of awakening, and they are amazing. The best way to reach us with questions and prayer requests is through email. That address is unitysebring@gmail.com. That's unitysebring@gmail.com. Now, you may also call the center and leave a message, and that number is 863-471-1122. That's 863-471-1122. Tina checks them daily, and she'll get back to you just as soon as she can. But please know it may take a little bit of time for a response. Next, I would be remiss if I did not mention that we need your financial support to continue our work. You know, I've never liked to address this, as I know Spirit always guides where tithing is concerned. But I also know that we will not receive if we do not ask. So, the error would be ours not to at least mention it to you for your consideration. So I invite you to please go within, and if you are led, please support as guided. We provide various ways to do this. Below this post today, there is a PayPal link. It is also on our website. Our website address is www.unityofsebring.org. Now, you may use either one to donate. You can also mail us a check. Make it out to Unity and send it to 10417 South Orange Blossom Boulevard, Sebring, Florida, 33875. I'm going to give you that address again. 10417 South Orange Blossom Boulevard, Sebring, Florida, 33875. We get the mail daily, and I want you to know that we pray over and bless each gift. Now, this week, we are presenting part 2 of last week's message from the book The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Be impeccable with your words. Now, I was guided to have this replayed at this time. It is perfect that we as individuals and everyone on this planet discover what we can do to bring things back to balance, where we all thrive and not just merely survive. We will keep you posted the very best we can. As I look forward to the adventure ahead, not only for me, but for all of us, I love you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's lesson. Today I'm going to continue on in a series of lessons that's focusing on the four agreements. Now, this week's lesson's title is Be Impeccable with Your Word, Part 2. Our scripture today begins with Matthew 7, and it is the chapter 7, second verse. For with the judgment you make, you will be judged, and the measure you give will be the measure you get. Now, Luke 6:37 and 38 read, do not judge and you will not be judged. I think you probably have heard this before. But are we proficient at it? That's my question. You know, I'm not always proficient at it. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Forgive and you will be forgiven. Give and it will be given to you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Now, Luke 6:37 through 38 says, and will be put in your lap, for the measure you give will be the measure you get back. Next one is John 8, and this is a long one. It's verse 1 through 12. And the story goes, while Jesus went to the Mount of Olives early in the morning, he came again to the temple. Now, let's take a look at this from a metaphysical point of view. Jesus goes to the Mount of Olives early in the morning, and he came again to the temple. So he's saying, what they're saying here is that he's going within, he is connecting to that inner temple that is within him. Outer always is an expression of what's going on within the soul. So it goes on to say, all people came to him, and he sat down and began to teach. Now, the scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and making her stand before all of them, they said to him, Teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. Now, in the law of Moses, it commands us to stone such a woman. Now, what do you say? They said this to test him, so that they might have some sort of charge to bring against him. But Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. When they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, Let anyone among you who is without sin be the first to cast a stone at her. And once again, he bent down and wrote on the ground. When they heard this, they went away, one by one, beginning with the elders, and then Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Goes on to say, Jesus straightened up and said to her, Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? She said, No one, sir. And Jesus says, and this is really, really, really important, because this is the truth about God.
And Jesus says, neither do I condemn you. Go your way, and from now on, do not sin again. Our wisdom quotes. The first one is by Anonymous, and it writes, tomorrow you'll have to live with the things you said. Second is by Habib Sadahi, and it reads, the very words we choose and where we direct them can mean the difference between life and death for any living thing, including ourselves. And last, speak words to yourself and others that encourage life. I matter. I am loved. I can make it. I'm hanging in there. I will not give up. I am blessed. I am a winner. I am more than a conqueror. I have favor with God and with man. God's gonna get the glory out of this. And I am strong. I am healed. I am whole. I can do this. Yes, I can. Now, I'm pretty sure all of you remember the 4 agreements, but just in case you need a quick refresher, these are the 4 agreements. The first one, which is what we're focusing on today and concluding, be impeccable with your word. Next week, we'll take a look at don't take anything personally. And then it goes on to don't make assumptions and always do your best. Now, last week I spoke about the reality that our thoughts are like seeds planted in the soil of consciousness. And if the default setting of your mind is in the negative, then the thoughts from this space will reflect the negativity in your speech, behavior, and actions. They manifest as fear, a sense of lack, disconnected from love, judgments, untrusting, and shame. Such a level of awareness has a dire effect on your life and your well-being. Now, when the soil of the mind is positive, then the thoughts planted will manifest to reflect such a reality. They foster greater compassion, an elevated sense of knowing, receiving and giving love, creating happiness, and a sense of peace. Now, is that not what you want? We have to cultivate a positive mind. Now, this level of awareness is a witness to the divine and opens the door to their greater good unfolding. Such an awakening can occur at any moment. Every action has an effect. Every word evokes a response, and every action has a reaction. Now, today my focus is going to be on the word impeccable, and it comes from the Latin pectus, which means sin, and the im is the word in the word impeccable means without. So being impeccable means to be without sin. Now, what does that word sin mean? Now, in a religious context, sin is a transgression against divine law, while sins are generally actions, any thought, word, or act considered to be immoral, selfish, shameful, harmful, or alienating, might be termed sinful. Now, to bring more clarity, in Unity we see sin from a perspective as used as an archery term. Sin, as an archery term, is what is shouted when an archer misses the mark. When you miss the mark, the perfect center bullseye. Now, hear this. What's truly important is not what somebody else says about sin, but rather what you have determined in your own mind as what would be considered sinful. And from there, do you always stop yourself from committing those sins? This is tough stuff. Now, if you're truly, truly, truly honest with yourself, and I'm sure that you would have to admit at some point that sometimes you may not always be hitting the mark. Now, this does not mean that you're a bad person. Please hear me. It just means that as a human, you are working towards bettering yourself without the need of guilt and condemnation when you miss the mark either with others or with yourself. Now, if you remember, I did a whole series on learning how to love yourself. Loving yourself is not about stroking your ego, but rather it is the learning to accept yourself where you are in this present moment, knowing full well you are working on becoming better by taking care of you. And it all begins as you practice being impeccable with your word. Thoughts and words, well, they are extremely powerful. They are filled with energy, and being impeccable with your word is the correct use of your energy. Now, use your God given energy toward creating a more loving and accepting world filled with peace, hope, and balance. And speak words that support others in their journey in life. Now, remember, we all have our own journey to awakening. So even if you do not agree with someone else's course, and it's okay not to agree, just make sure you don't judge them and their journey, and especially make them bad for the choices that they are making. Scripture reminds us, for the measure you give is the measure you get. And their journey is just as sacred to them and as it is yours. Their journey is sacred as it provides them with what they need to awaken, just as your journey continues to provide you with lessons that you need so that you can become more awakened to your spiritual self and what it is that you're up to and doing. Now, do not use your words to blame, to find guilt, or to destroy. Again, remember, the measure you give is the measure you get. So what is that saying here? Don't use your words to blame. How many times have you blamed somebody for your unhappiness? Well, they may have done something that has been very upsetting to you, but understand that the upset is in you. It's not in them. Now, do not use your words to gossip. And I know this is difficult for some people because they were brought up on gossip. And many times gossip, you see, is a mirror of one's judgments and opinions. Now, for years, we have received gossip and spells from the words of others which cultivate separation. Now, consider how many times you have gossiped about a person that you love, mostly to gain the support of others for your point of view. Now, that's not really very nice, but that's just something that humans do. Just understand that if you are listening to or you are involved in gossip about another person, it is more revealing about what's in your mind and that more than what it is about them. Now, how many times have you hooked another person, other people's attention? And honestly, how many times have we kind of spread some poison about a loved one in order to make our opinion right? I know I've done that, and I'm sure that you have too. But that's not the way in which we need to live, because that way, again, destroys people rather than honoring God's creation. Your opinion is nothing but your point of view. It is not necessarily true. Your opinion comes from your beliefs, your own ego, and your own dream. We create all this poison and spread it to others just so we can feel right about our own point of view. Ouch. Which brings me to my next point. We talk to ourselves constantly, and most of the time we misuse our words by saying things that are not true of our divine nature. The use of negative words, words against us, that being that sin, that plays in our mind is poison as well. Now we say things to ourselves like, oh, look how fat I am, and I look ugly, or I'm getting old, or I'm losing my hair, I'm stupid, I never understand anything, I will never be good enough. As long as you keep declaring something, even if the words are not spoken, you are directing your energy for you to create more of it. Now, most people think of prayer as asking God for something that they believe they don't already have. Now, praying from a space of lack will only create more lack, and it will never afford them a world of abundance. Now, here's an example that I hear people say, and that they are praying for patience. Oh, my Lord, don't do that, because in return, you're going to get every opportunity to practice it. Never pray or affirm or use your words about anything you do not want more of. Now, in truth, prayer is more than just taking a few minutes, asking God to do something for you, and returning to your old ways of thinking. Some people say, oh God, please help me quit smoking. And the next thing they do is they pick up a cigarette. Now, I'm not saying that cigarettes are bad. I'm not saying cigarettes are good. That is your decision. But what I'm saying is that we keep asking God for that, to do that for us, rather than realizing that it is within us, that God will work through us to help us rise. Remember that an old error way of thinking helped create what you did not want in the first place. So, the thoughts that you continually hold in your mind are your mantra. Just like the song says, our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. You see, Jesus taught us to pray in an affirmative. Unfortunately, so many people have not yet been taught, or they just don't understand this. But not so in unity, because, we have to uncover every rock and look at it. But unity uses affirmative prayer. Rather than begging or beseeching God, this method involves connecting with the Spirit of God within us first and asserting positive beliefs about the desired outcome. Now, affirmative prayer is the same method of prayer Jesus taught when he said, "So I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, as it is so already," because it is already. It already is in the mind of God. It's a matter of time until we are able to bring that forth into physical manifestation or our worldview shifts. That was Mark 11:24. Received it, and it will be yours. Now, I have to state this. Do not dismiss the physical world. I see some people who say that, that God's going to heal them, and God will heal them. But you don't need to, it's just like you don't want to put your hand in a fire and say, God's going to heal me. This is about practical stuff. It is just as real as our spiritual world. The physical world is equal with the physical world. Now, I know some of you would say, yeah, Andy, but that doesn't seem to work for me. Yes, it does. Because we have to start coming from that middle point to realize that our spiritual side and our physical side are all about spirit. Now, the physical world, though, is a reflection of what is happening within the consciousness of humanity. So don't dismiss this physical world, for it is there to awaken and to show us where we need to make the mental adjustments so we are able to continue living in human form and continue to experience the physical world. In other words, we are here to walk through this world, remain connected with God, and to create from that beautiful place that is within us, known as the Christ. Now, once you understand this first agreement, being impeccable with your word, and begin to actually practice it, you can know everything in the world, but if you're not practicing, it's not going to do you any good. So, to begin to actually practice it, you will begin to see all the changes that are happening in your life. Changes first in the way you deal with yourself, and later in the way you deal with other people, especially those you love the most. To be impeccable with your word, speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Now just imagine what you can create with the impeccability of your word. With the impeccability of your word, you can transcend the dream of fear and live a completely different life. You can live in heaven in the middle of thousands of people living in hell because you are immune to that hell. You can obtain the kingdom of heaven from this one agreement. Be impeccable with your word. Now, next week, we're going to begin to explore the second agreement. Don't take anything personally. And I have a question, though, that as I read that, I think to myself, is that always a good idea? Next week, we'll start to explore that. Now, I just want to take a moment to say again, thank you for tuning in today. And a very special thank you to all of you who continue to support this ministry. Your ongoing prayers and your financial contributions are necessary to keep us operating. That statement right there is a statement of spiritual and physical. All right? Now, if you care to contribute in a financial way, you can send your tithe or gift to our center. And that address is 10417 South Orange Blossom Boulevard, Sebring, Florida 33875. You can make your check out to Unity or Unity Life Enrichment Center. And again, that address is 10417 South Orange Blossom Boulevard, Sebring, Florida 33875. Also, right below this video, we have made it possible for you to give online. If you have a prayer request, simply call the office. The number is 863-471-1122 and leave a message. Messages are checked daily, and be assured your request will remain confidential. Now, if you wish, you can also send your request and any comments or questions about this lesson via email. Our email address is unitysebring@gmail.com. You may also, if you are in need of prayer and need a one-on-one prayer, there is someone always waiting to pray with you at Silent Unity. And the Silent Unity number is 1-800-669-7729. And there you will get a one-on-one opportunity to pray or have someone pray with you. Until we meet again, I affirm that you are whole and healthy. I affirm you and I are spreading the love and joy of God that's within us with everyone that we know and think about and those that we meet. Peace, my friends. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.